Alright, today we are going to learn about tables. And tables are useful if you have some data that you want to display neatly in a report or a document of some sort. Rather than just typing it all out, it's easily readable in a table format. And you may find that you use tables in post-secondary education when you're typing a report, or on your job when you need to present something. In teaching, I have certainly written tables before. I needed to create tables, so you never know what you'll need to do on your job that may require a table. So we'll spend a little time on that. And here's an example of a table. You would have the column heading, in this case magnitude, amplitude, and observation. So it's telling the reader what it is that they are looking at. Well, the magnitude, medium, number one, softest, and hardest. These are the columns going downward, and these are the rows going across. And the individual items are typically known as cells. So this is a cell of data. And normally in a report, a table would be centered in the middle of the document, so equal space on the left margin and the right margin. Here we're looking at it on a website, so it doesn't really look centered, but if it was on a Word document where you had typed something up, that would be the case. So let's take a look at how you would type out this in Osseo Apps. And I need to make that a little bigger, so I'm going to resize that slightly. There we go. So under an Osseo App document, we have the Table tab, and we just go up to the top and Insert Table, and you see a little grid shows up. And it really doesn't matter. You don't have to have it exact for how your table will be. You can always add a row or add a column. You can see it kind of grayed out there. Insert row above, insert column left, and so on. So if you don't get it right the first time, you can make adjustments to that. So we'll just do, let's see, that's 4 by 3, what we see there. And then I would just start to type magnitude, amplitude, observations, and I'm just hitting tab to go between the columns, medium, and then they have a return there, so I just hit return and that would drop that down, and so on. And you would just keep typing and filling that information in as you see it there. And in Osseo Apps, the document, there aren't really a lot of choices or a lot of formatting that you can do. You can see here's where once you've typed it, the insert becomes available to you. But you can set the border for a different color or a different width, how thick you want the border to be. If you want a cell background, you can do that. If you want to set the column width exactly, or how high you want the row. Cell padding is like the thickness between the cells, and what kind of alignment you may want. And once you've set that, that's what that would do. And that's about as complicated as a table in Osseo Apps can get. In Word, you have a lot more available to you when working with a table. If you were to go to Insert and then Table, again we see that grid like we saw in Osseo Apps, and you would draw that in there, type in magnitude, amplitude, observations. Again, you're just hitting tab to go between the different rows, or columns rather, and I just hit return again to drop that down. But I'm going to maximize this here. But once you have that table started, another tab shows up across the top, Table Tools, and you see you have two sub-tabs underneath that, the Design, which allows you to get pretty sophisticated on how you want that to look. If I were to choose a different style, and if you tab down or arrow down, there are a number of different styles. It automatically just does the formatting for you. And I am just going to go back to plain. You can custom choose the shading that you want. So if you have a particular cell that you want to draw some emphasis to, if you do the shading just on that cell, it will shade just that cell. So you can get very specific what kind of border you want, how the style of border that you want, how thick you want the border to be, the color that you want the border to be. So you can get pretty fancy on and customized on the layout, or the design rather. The next tab over is the layout, and that starts to get into how do you want it to be placed and what do you want the table to look like. And just like we saw in Osseo Apps, you can insert a row below or insert right, so it's very easy to adjust that. You can merge cells, so if you want this to be just one big cell across the top, you can merge it so it's one big cell. And I'm just going to undo that. Or if you want to split a cell, you can do that. This is a little more detailed than what we'll get into, so we'll skip over that. If you want to change the direction of the text so that it goes up and down instead of across, you can do that there. If you want to get into sorting of data, you can sort the data there. So there's a lot more detail on how you can get that to look. And the cell sizes, do you have specific measurements that you want for the cell? Otherwise, another thing you can do is, I don't know if you noticed that when I placed my cursor right on the line of the table there, it became kind of a two-sided with a line, and you can adjust the width of the column in this way as well, and just kind of customize how you want it. And here it is centered in the document, so this kind of happens automatically. That's the default for that. So you can get pretty sophisticated on formatting and the layout of a table. I do want to take one moment though and drop below there and show the difference. So this is a table. There's also times you may find that you want to work with a chart though, or Excel information, and if you go to insert an object and you are going to insert a Microsoft Excel worksheet, and if you wait a moment here, it pops up. It looks very similar, except it is an Excel spreadsheet with A, B, and 1, 2, 3, and so on, and the Excel functions become available to you. And this is handy if you are working in math or science and with some raw data and you want to make maybe a pie chart off of it or something and have that embed right out of your spreadsheet in your document. So they look very similar, a table and a spreadsheet that's embedded, but they work very differently. The table is simply the data being presented, but the Excel is where you can begin to manipulate that data. It's like a little Excel spreadsheet embedded in your document. So you will not be doing the Excel spreadsheet, you will just be creating a table, but I wanted you to be aware of the two different options that are available to you there. So take a look on the Moodle and it will tell you what the particular assignment is that you'll be doing next.